So good afternoon, everyone. We would like to start this session. First of all, I would like to ask if our panelists online can hear us.
Yes.
Can you just confirm?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. So thank you very much for our session today. So the title of the session is Artificial Intelligence in European Oncology, Scaling Innovation with Quality, Trust, Inequity. And so we will be co-moderating the session together. So my name is Nikolai Goncharenko, and I'm joined by my dear colleague, panelist.
Thank you, Nikolai. I'm Iωάννα Μιχαλοπούλου. I'm a life sciences lawyer.
And I think, firstly, we would like to start by introducing our panelists. And maybe we should start with, in the order that we have here. So, firstly, we have Stέφανος Koulias, who is the chairman of National Infrastructures for Research and Technology, and is specializing in machine learning. And from 2025 to 2028, he's also coordinating the Greek AI Factory initiative. We have also online Jakob, who is representing the Technical University of Dresden in Germany, and he is a physician scientist and full professor for clinical artificial intelligence.
And we do have Miss Eλευθερία Χατζημιχαήλ, who is an associate professor of hematology in the University of Iωάννα.
And I also would like to mention Ketil Widerberg, who is the general manager of the Oslo Cancer Cluster, who has long-standing experience in managing the projects in oncology, and also is working with many international institutions and partners, and has a background in preclinical medicine, and also has an MBA.
And we do have the pleasure to have also Miss Vάγια Mendesίδου, who is a medical oncologist and clinical research fellow at Gustave Roussy Villejuif in France.
And finally, we have Ivaylo Petrov, who is the head of strategic planning and board member of the Bulgarian Joint Cancer Network, who has significant experience also in managing deep health initiatives and has entrepreneurship background. So we finish our round of introductions and would like to start with our discussions. Firstly, I would like to say that artificial intelligence is starting to penetrate every area and every domain, not only of health, but across the board. We're all aware of different applications, which I think we're all using daily. But here today we'll focus on the domain of health, and specifically in oncology, artificial intelligence can be employed and is being employed across the board all along the patient pathway. So starting with prevention and screening, where it allows to perform profiling and maybe do more targeted intervention. It's used in diagnostic and diagnostic technologies. It's also used in treatment, and it can also support the discussions in multidisciplinary tumor boards, can help to guide and align different kinds of medical equipment used in the treatment, as well as to support patients during their journey, also during rehabilitation, during survivorship. And finally, last but not least, we have a huge domain of cancer research, and we heard some things about it today, but also it plays a big role in innovation. And of course, beyond that, there is another aspect which is linked to trust, which is linked to legal and ethical aspects. And maybe Iωάννα would like to say a few words about this.
Yeah, thank you, Nikolai. So as a life sciences lawyer, I work where innovation meets responsibility. And actually in oncology, that meeting point is particularly sensitive. AI promises scale, faster research, better use of expertise, and more precise cancer care. But in this field, scale without quality is meaningless, and quality without trust does not last. What I hear most often from clinicians is not whether AI can be accurate, but whether it is safe to rely on, and what happens when something goes wrong. From a malpractice perspective, AI does not remove responsibility, it reshapes it. As AI becomes part of everyday oncology practice across Europe, the real question is not whether it belongs, but how we integrate it responsibly with quality, trust, and equity at the center. So, given AI potential in oncology, let's start with the ESMO abstract presented by Ms. Mendesidu. How does this example show AI actually helping either in research, clinical decision-making, or patient outcomes? Ms. Mendesidu, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. I would like to thank ΕΛΛΟΚ very much for the invitation to participate in this year's conference, and especially in the particular roundtable about AI in oncology. I would like to start by saying that this is a poster presentation that we created for the most recent ESMO AI and Digital Oncology Congress that was held in November 2025 in Berlin. And it is worth noting that this is the first ever ESMO Congress dedicated on AI and digital oncology. So this took place at the end of 2025. It is worth noting, I believe, for this roundtable today. Our study was in particular a feasibility study, highlighting the role of digital document structure. So our study was conducted in a particular subset of patients that had a very rare tumor disease called von Hippel-Lindau syndrome. And those patients received treatment within our clinic in the private sector in Thessaloniki, in northern Greece. Our director, Dr. Bukovinas, is the president of the Greek Sarcoma and Rare Cancers Group, and he specializes in treating patients with such rare tumors. So what we did is that we identified 14 patients with this rare disease within our records. We first conducted a manual review of their files regarding 4 specific domains, which is the treatment history and response, toxicity to treatment, related to treatment, the most recent disease evaluation, and also the molecular and genetic profiles that they have. This was conducted by an experienced oncologist, and after that, we used the OncoAI clinician tool, which is an experimental tool embedded within the OncoEHR system, which is the EHR system that we use in our clinic. And we asked this model, the AI tool, I would rather say, to prompt the exact same information. What we saw is that in 8 out of the 14 cases, which is around 52%, the data extraction failed at a technical level due to the document structure, the internal document structure and formatting. But in the rest of the cases, where we had machine-readable data, there was 100% concordance between what the manual review had as a result and what the OncoAI clinician prompted as results. So I believe that this particular study at first shows that if we really want to unlock the potential of AI in oncology, we should have a data-first strategy. That is, we should focus on digitization of our documents. This is, again, very important, especially in Greece, but not simple digitization. We should focus on creative, high-quality, digital native documents in order to unlock the full potential. And to move these thoughts even a little bit forward, I would like to mention that we also have another poster presentation coming up in the ESMO Sarcoma and Rare Cancers meeting that will take place in March in Switzerland. Again, we're moving in the realm of rare tumors because this is also a very important and unique area in oncology, sometimes left outside of novelty for many years. So this is a slightly different study. because at first we should keep in mind that managing rare tumors demands a clinical expertise, but also administrative support. And in Greece in particular, the drug reimbursement for certain drugs requires a specific request to the national healthcare system that is accompanied by an attached specific scientific literature evidence. So this is the reason why we decided to create another pilot, let's say, model within the OncoEHR system that is called OncoAI Bibliography, in order to enhance the automated retrieval of high-quality scientific evidence from peer-reviewed journals, such as the NCCN guidelines, the ESMO Open, which is the official journal of the European Society for Medical Oncology, the New England Journal of Medicine. And this time we decided to apply the model again in an ultra-rare tumors group. This time it is called epithelial hemangiothelioma. It's an ultra-rare disease, meaning that we have less than 1 case per 1,000 people. So we identified only 6 patients in comparison to the 14 patients that we identified in the first study within our records. And what we did was that we, again, conducted a review of all the patient files regarding the 4 domains that we mentioned before. But this time, the results guided targeted literature search. And based on those results, we could see that there was a confirmation of our previous maneuvers, let's say, of our previous medical decisions. And also in 4 out of the 6 cases, which is around 66%, there were also predictive analytics offered, meaning that the model suggested a scenario-specific recommendation as well as to what we should be doing next in treating those patients with such ultra-rare tumors. Again, based on this very high scientific evidence. I do think that this particular study, the second study that we will present, is moving our thoughts a little bit further down the road and closer to the research-grade component that you mentioned and the integration within the clinical workflow, because even the most accurate AI model is not really efficient if we do not manage to integrate it efficiently in the everyday clinical workflow.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting research, and it's really astonishing results. I would like to make a link. So I wanted to ask if Jakob, Kather wants to extend on this based on your experience. What do you think are the elements how AI can help to bring research more into translation and application in clinical care?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me. And thanks for mentioning the ESMO AI and Digital Oncology Conference last year. It was indeed a very fun event. I was one of the organizers, and I think we were very happy with the turnout, and it will be repeated every year. It will be again in Berlin in November this year. So mark your calendar and hope to see you again, Vaya, and everybody. When we speak about AI in oncology, I think we should distinguish 2 different types of AI. One is specialized AI models. For example, in cancer screening, there are now very good and well-validated AI models to screen for breast cancer in X-ray mammography, or to screen for colorectal cancer in colonoscopy, or to review pathology slides of prostate biopsies to find cancer cells. So these models have been trained for one single task and have been validated for this task, and many of them have come to the market as medical devices with regulatory clearance, so you can use them today, right? But of course, this is super exciting, but it's not the end of the story, because AI methods have evolved much more. And now, of course, everybody is using large language models such as ChatGPT or Claude or others. And these models, they don't have just one application, right? You can ask them anything, and they have a bit of knowledge about anything, including oncology. And indeed, many of our colleagues and our patients are already using ChatGPT and other generalist models every day. And in current surveys, it's probably like 30% of doctors who are using this every day. So, and there's many problems here, right? These are not approved for medical use. These are not validated. These are can make mistakes. But our colleagues in many cases don't care. They still just use it. And of course, I also find it very helpful sometimes, although I'm very careful that I'm not using putting any patient data in these models, and that I'm not using it directly for clinical decision making. So I think we have to confront basically these two sides of AI, right? Specialized AI tools, for example, for cancer screening, and these generalist chatbots that are evolving very fast. And how do we deal with this? Well, I think we need to educate the oncology community to use this responsibly. And we also have to run validation studies and think about which type of validation we need. It's a very exciting time to be alive, and I'm very happy to discuss this here with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting feedback. And of course, we have so many different solutions. So next question would go to Professor Koulias. So many solutions that we have, so many emerging. How do we decide which one deserves a place in everyday practice?
So you can't avoid having different solutions. So in all cases, what we do, we try to find something, the best that fits well with the whole, the cures that we have, the data, and so on. But in any case, I think that what we should really look for is the first one, that we use solutions that respect everything with respect to with reference to the patients or to the people that the data refer to. So whatever we do, we are technologists. So I am dealing with AI technology models to be used by experts and doctors and so on. So we try first to have everything safely developed. That means even the processing comes physically, so that it not interferes with other processing elements that we have running in parallel, and to which one maybe some other researchers have access, and this could be a means. So we have in general the security that we have to respect. So you don't send your data to everyone. You had to go to trusted research and teams. And so with respect to models, we have to deal with models that are called that are trustable, that are trustworthy. So we can define which their knowledge and the data they have used for training, if they can explain to the patient why the specific decisions, how the specific decisions were made. And this, of course, it is not very easy, because sometimes you deal with much information. But now we have all if you are a trusted research team, then you should keep, you should use all the technology provides you with, for example, to have included all the available knowledge about that, so the knowledge is related to your decision. Then you have to also show which data sets were the ones that you really were. So you have to justify, to validate in a persuasive way, both to the doctors, to the experts, and of course to the public. So I think what we say today, that models that are trustworthy, that means you don't use a general ChatGPT. You have to have a refined whatever model that is refined to the data, includes all this, and is governed by all these issues. I think I gave you a first answer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Koulias, and thank you for pointing out safety, security, trust, validation. and I guess many others will be brought by Ms. Hadzimichaili. So if we had to choose, what are the top criteria for bringing AI into daily practice as a clinician, of course? First, clinical benefit. Second, safety and bias checks, or fit into workflow and implementation. What's your opinion on this?
Νομίζω θα μιλήσω ελληνικά για όσους είναι στην αίθουσα και νομίζω υπάρχει μεταφραστής για τα αγγλικά. Αν πρέπει να διαλέξω ανάμεσα σε αυτά που αναφέρατε, νομίζω ότι το πρώτο που πρέπει να αναφέρω είναι η ασφάλεια. Αυτό εφαρμόζουμε και όταν δοκιμάζουμε καινούργια φάρμακα στο πλαίσιο των κλινικών δοκιμών. Πρώτα είναι η ασφάλεια και μετά είναι η αποτελεσματικότητα και όλα τα άλλα. Οπότε και εδώ, νομίζω και στον τομέα της τεχνητής νοημοσύνης, αυτό πρέπει να είναι το πρώτο μας μέλημα, γιατί πρέπει οπωσδήποτε να μην βλάψουμε, εκτός βέβαια από το να προκαλέσουμε να υπάρχει κλινικό όφελος για τον ασθενή. Οπότε πρώτα θα έλεγα ασφάλεια. Μετά φυσικά πρέπει να υπάρχει κλινικό όφελος για τον ασθενή. Θα πρέπει δηλαδή να χρησιμοποιούμε τέτοια εργαλεία τα οποία να μας βοηθήσουν είτε να πετύχουμε πολύ πιο ακριβείς διαγνώσεις, είτε να πετύχουμε πιο ακριβείς θεραπείες και φυσικά να μην ξεχνάμε καθόλου το κομμάτι της πρόληψης. Στη συνέχεια, νομίζω ότι αυτό που έχει πολύ μεγάλη αξία όμως για μας τους κλινικούς, το ανέφερε ήδη ο κύριος Κόλλιας, είναι ότι θα πρέπει όλα αυτά τα μοντέλα τα οποία θα έρθουν σε κλινική χρήση να χαρακτηρίζονται από διαφάνεια, δηλαδή να ξέρουμε ακριβώς πώς έχουν δημιουργηθεί, να χαρακτηρίζονται από επεξηγησιμότητα, να μπορεί δηλαδή ο κλινικός γιατρός όταν παίρνει ένα output από έναν αλγόριθμο να γνωρίζει πού βάσισε ο αλγόριθμος αυτό το αποτέλεσμα. Και επίσης νομίζω ότι έχει πάρα πολύ μεγάλη σημασία να δώσουμε μεγάλη βαρύτητα στην επικύρωση. Δηλαδή όταν θα έρθει ένα μοντέλο να βρει εφαρμογή στην καθημερινότητα, θα πρέπει να έχει δείξει πρώτα μια επικύρωση σε έναν πληθυσμό και να μην βασιστούμε μόνο στην εκπαίδευση που έχει ο αλγόριθμος σε κάποια δεδομένα. Γιατί έχουμε δει ότι μπορεί ένας αλγόριθμος να εκπαιδευτεί πάρα πολύ καλά σε δεδομένα τα οποία να μην αντιπροσωπεύουν όμως τους δικούς μας ασθενείς. Άρα λοιπόν, αν εγώ σαν κλινικός πάω να εφαρμόσω ένα εργαλείο, θα πρέπει να γνωρίζω σε τι πληθυσμό έχει εκπαιδευτεί ο αλγόριθμος και θα πρέπει να είναι χρήσιμος για μένα, να μπορεί να βρει εφαρμογή ανεξαρτήτου φύλου, ηλικίας, κοινωνικο-οικονομικού επίπεδου, να μπορεί να βρει δηλαδή πραγματικά εφαρμογή σε αυτό το πραγματικό ασθενή που έχω μπροστά μου και όχι σε αυτό το training data set που έχει εκπαιδευτεί. Και τέλος, νομίζω ότι είναι πολύ σημαντικό, επειδή πραγματικά θα έρθει η τεχνητή νοημοσύνη στην καθημερινότητά μας, αφού αυτά όλα εφαρμοστούν, νομίζω ότι έχει πολύ μεγάλη σημασία και η επιτήρηση. Δηλαδή, θα πρέπει ο κλινικός γιατρός να είναι αυτός ο οποίος να δίνει ένα feedback στους μηχανικούς στη συνέχεια, αν υπάρχει κάποια αστοχία, αν υπάρχει ενδεχομένως κάποιο λάθος, μία παράληψη, έτσι ώστε όλα αυτά να βελτιώνονται για να μπορέσουμε πραγματικά στο τέλος, για άλλη μια φορά να πω, να έχουμε κλινικό όφελος για τον άρρωστο.
Thank you very much. My next question goes to Ketil Widerberg. Ketil, we all know that Oslo has a very advanced setup, and there's plenty of technology and AI tools being used in oncology in the Oslo cluster. From your experience and from your knowledge, how has this affected patient journey, and what experience or which suggestions would you like to share with the other countries who are just at the beginning, who are implementing different AI solutions?
Well, thank you for being here. And I
think we have no sound.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you properly.
Can you hear me now?
No, we cannot hear you.
No sound? No sound?
I can hear you.
That's
Yes.
nice. Somebody hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I try this microphone. No? This microphone? This microphone?
Please bear with us. We just need a minute. I hope.
Hello?
We can still hear you.
You can hear me, right? So
I can hear you, yes.
Yes. Yeah, so this is a story of Norwegian, advanced technology, right? We can't even transfer my voice, I guess.
Okay, maybe we can jump to the next question and then come back actually to Ivaylo. I would like to ask Ms. Mendesίδου, Ms. Hatζημιχαήλ, and Mr. Kóλλιas. I think you both actually mentioned about trust, clinician trust, at least, in AI. But what about patients? What do patients need to know or experience in order to trust AI? And actually, AI-supported oncology care. What's your opinion on this? Let's start with Ms. Mendesίδου and then come back to the rest.
Well, I believe that they should feel that they can trust us as clinicians when we use their data, which means that, first of all, they need to know that we have a very strict consent framework, very safe environments where we keep their data, and also a very, how can we say this? That their data are only going to be used for the purpose that they were originally gained for, that they have signed a specific consent form for certain data use. So we will not move forward to unjustified use of their data. So I think that this is important. And also that they know that there is always a clinician oversight above the use of the AI tools. So the AI tools are not mature enough to be autonomous. I don't know if and when they will ever be. They still need the clinician's approval. This is important both for us and for the patients to know.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Kóλλιas, what's your view on this?
I think that what we describe goes towards what we all know about personalized medicine. So think what happens in Greece now. If each one of us can access their own medical file, the patient file. So if there is a system that can assist, can adapt whatever it has learned, as you mentioned, generally, to the specific data that the patient has, of course, so it can provide some cues. Some say that, what happened in this CT that you have resembles to that or is like that. Of course, the patient cannot really understand if it's true what is said to him. So certainly, I believe that we need the assistant of the doctor. That means any system that we use as artificial intelligence system, I think it is not an AI, but an IA, intelligent assistant system. So it needs to provide cues that a doctor, an expert, can really understand or consider whether they fit or not and can give another opinion. If this fits, this is shown to you, to me, that as time goes ahead, if this was something that was helpful for him, I think this will help building trust. And as much this happens, I think this should go like that. I think that we're going together.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's very so. But I guess that clinicians need time, more time maybe, in order to educate patients. Is that right?
I didn't touch that.
Αυτό που είπατε είναι πάρα πολύ σημαντικό. Αυτό σημαίνει ότι και ο ίδιος ο γιατρός όμως πρέπει και ο ίδιος να εκπαιδευτεί. Και πρέπει να πούμε ότι έχουν βγει κατευθυντήριες οδηγίες και από την ΕΣΜΟ, και ο κ. Καπατανάκης είναι και co-author, όπου αναφέρεται σαφώς ότι θα πρέπει και ο ίδιος ο γιατρός τώρα να μάθει να ζει σε μια καινούργια εποχή. Πρώτα, ο ίδιος να γνωρίζει πώς λειτουργεί η τεχνητή νοημοσύνη, να γνωρίζει τους περιορισμούς της τεχνητής νοημοσύνης, να γνωρίζει ότι μπορεί να υπάρχει μεροληψία στα δεδομένα και στον αλγόριθμο, και θα πρέπει ο γιατρός να εκπαιδευτεί στο να μπορέσει να ενημερώσει και τον άρρωστο για όλα αυτά. Και βέβαια ο γιατρός θα πρέπει κάθε φορά να αποκαλύπτει τη χρήση τεχνητής νοημοσύνης στον ασθενή του. Να αποκαλύπτει τη χρήση τεχνητής νοημοσύνης αν τη χρησιμοποίησε σαν βοήθεια για τη διάγνωση ή ακόμη αν χρησιμοποίησε τη τεχνητή νοημοσύνη για να μαγνητοφωνήσει την συνέντευξη και να κρατήσει σημειώσεις για το φάκελο ή για να βελτιώσει ένα ενημερωτικό σημείωμα. Άρα πρέπει και ο γιατρός να εκπαιδευτεί και να μεταφέρει αυτή την εκπαίδευση στον ασθενή για να μπορέσει να αυξηθεί η εμπιστοσύνη. Αλλά κάτι άλλο που νομίζω ότι έχει πολύ μεγάλη σημασία είναι να γνωρίζουμε όλοι και το νομικό πλαίσιο στο οποίο θα πρέπει να κινηθούμε. Και ο γιατρός πρέπει να γνωρίζει το νομικό πλαίσιο, αντίστοιχα και ο ασθενής να γνωρίζει ποια είναι τα δικαιώματά του και ήδη το ανέφερε αυτό η κυρία Μεντεσίδου, να γνωρίζει δηλαδή ότι τα δεδομένα του προστατεύονται, ότι χρησιμοποιούνται ανώνυμα και ότι δεν υπάρχει κίνδυνος να διαρρεύσει κάποια προσωπική του πληροφορία. Οπότε νομίζω έχει πολύ μεγάλη σημασία για να αυξηθεί η εμπιστοσύνη ο ασθενής να γνωρίζει ότι υπάρχει ασφάλεια των δεδομένων. Από την άλλη, για να έχει εμπιστοσύνη και ο γιατρός, νομίζω χρειάζεται και εκπαίδευση, αλλά να γνωρίζει και το νομικό πλαίσιο για να ξέρει ακριβώς ότι τελικά πάλι αυτός έχει την τελική ευθύνη.
You're absolutely right. So I guess that what you mentioned is that we do need patients' consent before.
Νομίζω ότι για όλα χρειαζόμαστε consent. Πρώτα απ' όλα ενημέρωση και μετά εννοείται consent αν πραγματικά είναι κάτι που πρέπει να χρησιμοποιήσουμε. Και αυτό πάλι θα πρέπει νομίζω να ξαναπάρουμε το παράδειγμα των κλινικών δοκιμών και να πούμε ότι θα πρέπει και οι ασθενείς λοιπόν να συμμετέχουν στην διαμόρφωση αυτών των αλγορίθμων όπως και στην ενσωμάτωσή τους. Όπως οι ασθενείς συμμετέχουν στο σχεδιασμό πρωτοκόλων κλινικών δοκιμών και λαμβάνουν με υπόψη τη γνώμη τους, δέχονται να υποβληθούν σε μια αξονική κάθε μήνα για την έγκριση ενός καινούριου φαρμάκου ή το θεωρούν αυτό υπερβολικό και λένε τη γνώμη τους και πρέπει να γίνεται σεβαστή. Νομίζω το ίδιο πρέπει να γίνει και πριν έχουμε αυτό που ονομάζουμε implementation της τεχνητής νοημοσύνης, δηλαδή την ενσωμάτωση της τεχνητής νοημοσύνης στην καθημερινότητα. Πρέπει και εκεί οι ασθενείς να συμμετέχουν και όλοι μαζί να συνδιαμορφώσουμε, αν θέλετε, έναν αξιακό κώδικα για την εφαρμογή της.
Thank you very much. And it's patient's perspective and inclusion of patients is very important. And I would like to still go back to Ketil. Can you confirm if you can hear us now, if you are connected now?
I can hear you well.
Great.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very well. So I just want to get back to my question about your experience in Oslo, about the setup and use of AI systems. And you have been very successful. So what would be your suggestions for other systems in other countries?
Yeah, I had some technician now. I hope you can hear me.
Yes. Could you hear my question?
Yeah. So, thank you for saying this. If Norway is seen as technical advance, I say my background is from health and digital space. So, I would say health is in Norway, and I would say that AI and oncology is in a if I compared, for example, how Europe invented HT cell therapy, we look at how we invest in AI as an infrastructure the same way. And I think this the software I have to begin.
I think we have a problem with the sound, and I think now you froze. I'm very sorry, Ketil. We will try again. Maybe I will just ask a similar question. I will go to Ivaylo Petrov from Bulgaria, and I will ask you, you're involved in many initiatives, setting up new innovative structures. Could you tell me which steps are you undertaking in Bulgaria, and how do you think, what would be important to integrate AI in your country in clinical practice? And of course, you know much more of the environment, you know, what the work that we do within the cancer mission hubs.
I think this conversation, first of all, have to start from the beginning with one clarification, because within the wording of AI, there are two deviations. And the one road is the road to the machine-learned AIs. The second road is the road to the large language models and the open models. In both roads, there are totally parallel way of how we are validating, how we are constructing, how we are testing, and because we have mentioned trustworthy AI process, actually this process was established exactly because of the era at the boom of the ChatGPT or the open source large language models, and there are 6 principles, which 6 principles were mentioned into the expectation of the clinicians actually, and they're very well described there. So backing forward to Bulgaria, I could say Bulgaria is a zone in which we have less investment in digital health. That's why I will not talk about the Bulgaria. I will talk from my perspective as a part of the working groups through the WHO guiding working group, also the AI on sustainable healthcare systems working group, a part of the WHO also, and many other working groups where we are exactly not by theoretically, but really trying to practically challenge also ourselves, because most of us are also researchers and developers. The story here is actually from the real practice. The real practice showing the same thing, and I'll stop with that, especially about the large language models, something which nowadays is working. ChatGPT, by the way, last week they have announced and opened the ChatGPT Health system, in which through 1 week we have more than 230 million people entered. So can we imagine how much of those people they have relied on the conclusions which were disclaimed there and came back to the healthcare professionals asking them if this is true or not. So here is the dilemma, and it's the dilemma of our mindsets. And the dilemma of our mindset is actually that in one moment when we are using those models, more and more we are starting to interpretate and to think like the models. And it's going to be very hard for us to assess true or false of what we have detected. The totally different stories with the machine-learned language models, because there we have coding, there we have mathematical processing, and so on and so forth. But stepping back to the large language model, I think now we are at the era of the challenges behind those models. And here, also good example is the example of Anthropic. Anthropic actually is the biggest and much better company which is working on large language models in general, and they have tried to interpret that into the healthcare. And honestly, if we are taking on the PubMed and going the meta-analysis, we will see that most of the large language models still now they're failing. They're not so failing into the diagnostic interpretations, because more or less there we are using the numbers, right? Which is much better to be predicted. We have professor here on that. But when we are talking about the narratives and the narrative interpretations, the results are still not good, and the results are still not good exactly of the main reason, the hallucination, and how we're integrating the trustworthy process, how we're going back to the auditing process. So what we have at the enter point and how trusted this is what we have on the enter point and what we're expecting on the exit point. So actually, the discussion will be exactly the beginning. But here also, I would like to hear also Ketil, because he have very good experience on that.
Thank you very much.
Can you hear me now?
Trust remains the issue. Ketil, is it better now?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
So maybe you want to share your experience in just a few words, so we can connect you back into the discussion.
Yeah, no, it's sort of a mess. No, I think just to the last comment here. In Norway now, and maybe in the rest of Europe, there's a lot of things happening for speaking language into text for the physicians, right? And in the sense then, you are actually using these large language models to build the data that you later do the research on. And I think that this build up kind of a potential conflict of what kind of data do we then do the epidemiology on, or so I want to kind of what we're discussing in Norway is not if AI is coming in health and oncology, but it's more who does it work for, under what variants and conditions, and who carries the risk. So it's more like the algorithms that we see, the digital biomarkers, they work. But what are the systems? What are the incentives and the governance we're putting up? So I spent part of my life working with digital pathology and founding a company called Diagnostics. It works. But what are the systems to get it used? What are the incentives to put it into work? I've seen that very clearly. And then another company running London, Nordic RWE, works on how you use AI on epidemiology data to understand and build control arms and see how disease works. And then, how can that be utilized? Because I think that in Europe, compared to US, for example, we can use these kind of analysis to understand what happens if we don't treat it. Can we get advice on a system level on where to have interactions? And I'll stop myself because there are other aspects, but they are too broad.
Thank you very much. I think we still have some time left, or are we over time? So we still have some time left. So would you like to?
Yeah. Okay. I would like to ask actually all of you a question, starting from Mr. Kόλλιας. So, Mr. Kόλλιas, looking ahead, what single change in practice, governance or culture would be most help patients trust AI-supported oncology care in Europe?
I think we started discussing it now what the issues are, as there will be fake news everywhere, fake images and so on. Here we will have many, as you mentioned, sources of information which might be not correct, at least. Okay, so I think both the states, the European states, as well, I think Europe tries to do that. They try to create some ecosystems that are based on trustworthy decision making. So, for example, in Greece, now I'm coordinating one of the European AI factories. It's called Pharos for Greece. And the idea is to create our own infrastructure, resources for running systems in a safe way. Then we will have data that will be reliable, there will be no bias in there, unbiased, and so on. We'll have some models that can be used for adaptation in specific cases. And this would be, at least in the first 3 years, for free to the researchers, to the small enterprises and SMEs. And this will be we respect the AI Act, we respect the GDPR, and so on. So the idea is this could be a trusted, that we define in the country, a trusted ecosystem that can provide with assistance, not necessarily some resources which can be really efficient, but it could be also not trusted. I think this is one way that we're currently trying to be implemented, tested.
Thank you. Ms. Hatζημιχαήλ.
Could I have one comment?
Maybe he wants to talk.
Yeah, of course. We cannot deny. Since you are...
No, just one comment, which is necessarily wider than oncology, but in Norway now we have a serious discussion about replacing the GPs with a AI tool that take the first question from patients before they go to experts. And this is not because we want to be advanced, but 1/4 of the Norwegian population use ChatGPT to question, also about medical questions. So it's also a kind of effect of population, how they use AI. And I think this is also something where we can discuss about making ethical and correct AI, but in practice, while we're discussing that, populations start using AI to get questioned, on the first line before they go to experts. And I think this is, to me, a big concern. How do we utilize the European health data, which has far superior understanding or data that can help us understand than the US-based healthcare system? How do we utilize that we have in Europe, in oncology specifically, to really deliver that care better than we do today? And I think we have a unique opportunity to do that, but it happens now.
Okay, thank you for your perspective. And shall we continue in the room or shall we continue online? I think we can continue online. Maybe we can pass to Jakob, Kather. Maybe you would like to comment on the question.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes. So looking ahead, what single change in practice, governance, or culture would most help patients trust AI-supported oncology solutions? So what do you think would be important so that patients actually do trust AI?
I think patients already trust AI. I mean, 50% of the young patients or more are using AI. There's data that 25% of teenagers talk about mental health to chatbots, to large language models. They trust it already. They trust it more than their parents. Teenagers trust ChatGPT more than they trust their parents. So I think it's already here today, and we basically have to cope with it and have to provide validation. And actually, I think we have to work on patients trusting us as human oncologists, because they already trust AI. And sometimes even patients come to me and they say, well, but ChatGPT told me something else, right? And we have to convince them that they should trust us. So I think that's the reality, especially with younger patients.
So I think we're just living in the time of paradigm shifts, right? And maybe it's indeed, those are the questions that we should be asking, how can we get back into human world or integrate AI into human world, which is basically taking its own course. So we have one more person online. Would you like to comment?
Yes, of course.
Ms. Mendesίδου.
Thank you. I believe the patients will also learn to trust AI a little bit more if they see results, like enhancement of patient outcomes, and mostly if they see, for example, that there is a reduction with regards to the inequality in oncology. Of course, this means that all the AI models will have been created not just within one particular country or one big entire university hospital, but they will be easily transportable and applicable to other populations as well, much like what Professor Hatζημιχαήλ mentioned a little bit earlier. So if they feel and know for a fact that an AI model was created without having excluded specific populations, I believe this will help them trust it even more.
Thank you.
Νομίζω ότι τη δική μου πλευρά, μετά από όλα αυτά που έχω ακούσει, νομίζω ότι πρέπει με κάποιον τρόπο να μεταφέρουμε όμως και στον ασθενή μας ότι η τεχνητή νοημοσύνη δεν είναι τα μεγάλα γλωσσικά μοντέλα μόνο. Τα μεγάλα γλωσσικά μοντέλα είναι αυτά με τα οποία ερχόμαστε σε επαφή και προφανώς υπάρχει άμεση πρόσβαση από τον ασθενή. Αλλά πρέπει να το εξηγήσουμε ότι στην ιατρική η τεχνητή νοημοσύνη δεν είναι τα μεγάλα γλωσσικά μοντέλα. Είναι άλλοι αλγόριθμοι οι οποίοι αναπτύσσονται από ειδικούς επιστήμονες και είναι με ένα συγκεκριμένο στόχο και με ένα συγκεκριμένο σκοπό, με μια συγκεκριμένη εξειδίκευση. Δεν είναι ένας γενικός αλγόριθμος να προβλέπει τις επόμενες λέξεις μας, γιατί αυτό είναι τα μεγάλα γλωσσικά μοντέλα. Και αυτό λοιπόν είναι κομμάτι της εκπαίδευσης που πρέπει να έχουν και οι γιατροί και αυτό πρέπει να το μεταφέρουμε και στους ασθενείς μας. Σαφώς πρέπει να μάθουμε να ζούμε με την τεχνητή νοημοσύνη, γιατί τη χρειαζόμαστε εμείς οι γιατροί. Τη χρειαζόμαστε γιατί 50% των ασθενών μας από καρκίνο μέχρι και σήμερα ακόμα πεθαίνει. Άρα έχουμε προβλήματα άλυτα. Άρα σίγουρα τη χρειαζόμαστε. και πρέπει να την εμπιστευτούμε και πρέπει να τη χρησιμοποιήσουμε, γνωρίζοντας όμως τους περιορισμούς και εξηγώντας όλα αυτά και στον ασθενή τι είναι τεχνητή νοημοσύνη, τι μπορεί να μας δώσει, ποια είναι τα όρια της και ποιοι είναι όμως οι περιορισμοί. Και σιγά σιγά νομίζω να ξεφύγουμε λίγο από τα μεγάλα γλωσσικά μοντέλα, όπου συμφωνώ, όλοι οι ασθενείς μας θα προστρέξουν. Είχαμε τον Dr. Google, τώρα θα έχουμε τον Dr. ChatGPT, Dr. Health, Dr. δεν ξέρω. Πρέπει να κρατήσουμε την ιατρική ανθρωποκεντρική. Αυτό ανθρώπινη και ανθρωποκεντρική. Και πρέπει όλα να γίνονται με όφελος τον ασθενή μας, αυτός είναι ο τελικός αποδέκτης και πάντοτε να κρατήσουμε αυτό που λέμε human in the loop. Αυτό νομίζω.
Sounds like we have two different uses of AI, the used by professionals and the used by patients. Ivo, what's your view on this? How can we bridge the gap?
I'll start with one example. So, beginning of last year, I was invited at the European School of Oncology, taking the notes regarding one new model, one research concept for the large language model into the healthcare. And there, one colleague, healthcare professional, stands in front of me and says, "No, I don't want to be replaced by such kind of models or instruments." And I says, "This is not the reason. I mean, to driving the research. Actually, the reason to driving research is really to trying to helping you saving time and generating the evidence-grade decisions for you. I mean, to be considered." But why I'm saying that? I'm saying that because when we are talking and also having all of the bureaucracy, all of the elements of the regulatory processes across us, so generally across Europe and on the member states level, actually we are more and more working on the serverless flow. And when we are talking to the other continents, when we are talking to the US and when we are turning to the Asia, we are seeing a totally different story. And this is a story of stimulation of the research together with the end users, which is the success story. And when we are still thinking and doing the things on the sides, the others, they are progressing. And this is my biggest afraid for Europe, honestly, and what we can do, because this will reflect also our patients, and most of us, one sooner or later, could be also patients. I mean, yeah.
We have heard many arguments today, and I have to admit that I'm also puzzled, and I would like to thank from my side all the panelists for putting those arguments on the table, and I think it's time also for us to reflect and to continue those discussions after this wonderful Congress and after this meeting. What do you think, Iωάννα?
It's lots on the table, actually. Long discussions will continue. We'd like to thank you, first of all, our great panelists, both online and here. Mr. Kapetanakis, of course, for the great organizations and for the initiative and the great honor to have us here. And I think the future looks bright. And as you mentioned, with the patient in the center, we have lots to do. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Alex for organizing this and to the panelists for joining. We will continue the discussion soon.